Hi again, everybody. Michelle here. I decided last podcast that I was going to be splitting the potty training episodes into 3, and I'm giving poop its own recording because why not? Why not break everything down into bite-sized chunks? It's one of the pillars of how I tell parents to potty train their kids. So basically, what do I mean by that? So basically what we do is we kind of write on a piece of paper all of the things that are required for a successful potty training experience. So they're going to go open the door, turn on the light, pull down their pants, sit on the toilet, to go through all of the things. And then at the end of the list, we look at it and we say, okay, what can the child already do? And where are the areas that we need to work on? And we all originally kind of jump in saying, okay, we're going to start the potty process by doing everything in one sitting. And meaning that we're going to teach them pee and poop. We're going to take data. We're going to give them reinforcements, and we're going to see how this rolls. And if you have any questions in regards to like the A to Z of that, you can check out the last 2 episodes. Those will give you the real ins and outs of how to potty train. Today I wanted to put poop separate is because I like to look at a program and say, okay, I run the program as I think I should run it, meaning like the potty training, learning to, teaching my child how to potty train is running a program. That's what my terminology for it. And then after a couple of days of running the data, I want to look at it and say what's working, what's not, what do we need to tweak, and then keep moving forward. So what ends up happening is that when I look at a list of the things that you have to do to potty train, and we started the actual act of training the child to potty train, sometimes it's huge. And we need to break that down into multiple programs so it's digestible, so we can get you quick wins and get your baby quick wins. So in some instances, we'll start the process of teaching a family how to potty train, and then we'll realize that the child won't even sit on the potty. That's what we call potty phobia. So that's going to be its own program in itself, meaning we're going to run the program where they're going to just have the child sit on the potty, pants up, pants down, and get a reward. If the phobia is so severe, and this is where we kind of have to take data and baseline where we're at in this particular potty process, it might even just be standing in the room where the bathroom is without having a tantrum and meltdown, being neutral. And then what I like to do is take the baseline data, which is like, all right, can they stand in the room? Can they sit on it with pants on, pants off? How long can they do that? And then I start working out the details of the program I'm going to run just for potty phobia, meaning just to get them to sit without me having to hold them down, without them whining and wincing. I start at that point, and then I can start gradually increasing the time. I like to get up to 5 minutes of sitting with neutrally before we move on to actual potty training. And that's with pants off. Obviously, if you have to break it into many steps where they're just standing in the room and they're happy, and then they're sitting on it with no issue and they're happy, and then you're just going to build it out that way. Some people, I think, just want to get right to it, and I'm one of those people, believe you me. But I think one of the things I've learned throughout the years is that patience is the real patience and commitment to not giving up is really like the cornerstones of having a really successful potty experience. And I'm going to share this with you guys. You're going to think I'm nuts. I'm potty training my cats right now. And it's like, okay, I have 3 cats. We're potty training them. I was thinking about this because there's no verbal language needed with this. That's why it's so great. Potty training to be one of the first skills you can teach your child on the spectrum. They don't have to be verbal to get it. They just need to understand that pee and poop go here. And the way we do that is we create the environment so that it really kind of like makes it so there's no other option, that we're either going to take them if we see them about to have an accident or in the middle of an accident. We're going to take them at set intervals, and then we're going to reward that behavior. Like, hey, if you do this, there's a big pot of gold waiting for you at the end of this. So I'm potty training my cats. I'm thinking about all of this, and the instructions, I got this little potty kit that you can actually train cats to potty train, and the first instruction was just to put the litter box in the bathroom. And if you have multiple cats, you'd have to, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically you have to wait a week or 2, at least 2 weeks before you move on to the next step, which is the seat that goes in the toilet. And I was really patient with this because in the first couple of days we had some accidents. They didn't know where the potty was, and I had to move it back and then kind of slowly, gradually bring it to the bathroom. Then once we got it, we were able to get on to the next step. But this takes patience, and this takes commitment. I'm like, I want to see this through. I would love to not have litter boxes anymore, you know? And I keep reminding myself of that. Now, this morning I spent probably a good 45 minutes cleaning both bathrooms that we're doing this in. And I'm cleaning up, like, you know, because there's litter going everywhere. It's getting crazy. We're on the next step now where we're actually putting the seat in the toilet, and there's litter flying everywhere. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this sucks. I really don't want to be doing this right now. I want to go out. It's a nice day. Go out and hang out with the kids in the pool, blah, 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 blah. But I said, no, I'm committed here. Think about the long-term advantages of this. And that's what's helping me to move through it. So when I say this about building out plans and programs and being patient, and this is the cornerstone of everything, because it is. Because I'm thinking right now, immediate gratification to solve my problem of not wanting to sit in the bathrooms and clean right now is to just bring the litter boxes back in and go out and play. But at the end of the day, I want the long-term goal of not having to clean a litter box or pay for the expenses of having a litter box. So I'm always attaching to my why as to why it's more compelling to sit and spend 45 minutes cleaning the bathrooms than to go out and have fun, right? There's the immediate gratification that our brain is always seeking, right? Our brain is always seeking to keep us, just keep us comfortable. You know what I mean? It wants to avoid pain, right? So it's always like giving you all the reasons why you should stop doing this. They're cats. What are you, crazy? This is going to be crazy. Oh, this is disgusting. You can think of all the things. But then my higher brain is like, no, this is a life skill that once I do it, it's set it and forget it. And then they're just going to be using the toilet like us. It's going to be fabulous. There's no difference with training our children on the spectrum to go potty. So I'm not talking about our cats and kids on the spectrum the same. It's not about that. It's about the behaviors that without verbal communication, you can train your child to go potty on the go poo poo and pee pee on the potty. So I went off a little bit of a tangent there, but I think it was just important just to understand there's such a mindset piece to all of this. Patience, wanting instant gratification of relief of not cleaning bathrooms now, or not cleaning a dirty, rug when my kids soiled, pissed through their underwear. I could just easily put a diaper on them. But that's one step further away from the goal that I want, which is the potty training. Okay, so today I really wanted to focus on poop. And it really, honestly, there's nothing really changed. If you watch the last episode to this one, it's really all going to be the same principles, except that maybe we would chunk down the actual process of potty training into multiple steps. So the first step here is we can look making the list. Then the next step is they're going to take that data, and then we want to basically look at the whole process of potty training and say, where is my child at on this list? And is it too much to ask for the rest of the list to be done at once? Maybe I need to break it down to bite-sized chunks. And the reason I'm talking about that today specifically is it's very, very common for children to get pee and then get poop later. I have this happen all the time in my group coaching program. We work through this. Nothing's gone wrong here. This is actually quite normal. What's the reasons this happens? Well, number one is you get a lot more opportunities to practice pee than poop. The repetition is the mother of all skill here, and you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of opportunities to practice going to the potty. And you could do that really easy with, applying your kid with lots of juices and fluids and things like that, and running them around the house, getting them thirsty, that they're drinking. You're going to get a lot of opportunities to catch pee, so you're going to get a lot of opportunities to reward it, and your child's going to make that connection quicker. Another reason why it takes a little bit longer, you have poop where you're not pooping, you can't generate poop like that. So poop, maybe you're lucky if you get poop once a day. Sometimes we get really lucky at families that have poopers twice a day. But if you get poop once a day, at best, this is going to be challenging. So the idea here is that we want to just meet that challenge where it's at and maybe run a separate program for it. So some parents go into the potty training, get pee and poop on lock, and they're good. Some parents, they don't. And another reason why that might also be is because the peeing is a very different sensory experience than pooping. Pooping, actually, I could tell on my daughter's face when she was doing it, and my son, that they were really scared. It was like feeling something coming out of their bum, and they didn't know what it was, and it felt really foreign to them. And if you really think about peeing and pooping, they're very, very different. They feel very different. So we have to honor that, it's okay. This is a good thing. Mommy does this too. It feels funny, but it's okay. It's gonna plop in the water, or whatever the case may be. You really want to neutralize the experience when it happens as much as possible. And then sometimes, because we don't have as many opportunities to catch poop as we do pee, we have to run it as its own program. So we look at the list, we see where we're at, and we say, okay, let's go over the process of what we would do if we're at the stage of poop training. So, like I said, nailing poop pee first is pretty normal. Getting number 2 can take longer. If your child has an accidental poop while they're on the toilet, that should get a huge amount of reinforcement. So sometimes they'll be peeing and all of a sudden a nugget will drop out. You want to go crazy with that. You want to really, really up the ante and reinforcer and the vocal praise if they like that stuff. You can even double up or separate a high value reinforcer for poop. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. If your child has an accident and poops in their underwear, we don't ever start flipping out. This was what I did, and it was such a disaster. It took us a very long time to potty train both of our kids because I'm a fucking asshole. But anyway, basically what you want to do is just say, uh-oh, poo-poo in the underwear. Let's clean up. Goes in the potty. And you kind of take the child with the poop in the underwear, and we both shake it into the toilet and say, that's where poopy goes. Bye-bye, poopy. Maybe next time. And then just remind them, if you go poop, there's this big, beautiful reward we're waiting for you. And I get this a lot. And I'm so, baffled by it because you guys come to me, completely puzzled. And you say to me, I got pee, no problem. But, poop, they just won't do it. And I tried everything. Kiss of death thought. I tried everything and they just won't do it. And they just go into their room and they grab the pull-up and they just put it on and poop in it. And then they just take it off and hand it to me. Or they just ask me for the pull-up and I just give it to them. So my easy answer to that is there is no more pull-ups. That is no longer an option. If we're doing this, we're committed. Just think about it. Just like what I was thinking about before. I could go out. I could put the litter box back, go out and go in the pool. I've now stepped one step further back away from getting the goal of potty training. By giving the child the option, the availability to just put on the pull-up, you're also taking one step back from being having a fully potty trained child. So how do we do this? So knowing that, if I take the pull-up away, they may get constipated, I'm going to have accidents. What do I need to do here to really make this a different experience than pee? And believe it or not, it's going to be different, but it's really the same in the sense of okay, we're going to look at the reinforcers. So we have a reinforcer for pee that's actually working, right? So it could be, let's say it's little Reese's Pieces. So you're giving them some candy and every time they go, they get some candy and everything's great. But when it comes to poop, and they know now they can get this reinforcer for going on the potty, sensory experience of poop, and it's kind of weird, and I feel really uncomfortable, and I don't like it when we talk about this too, where sometimes when the poop drops and the water splashes up in their bum, they don't like that, they get scared, all of the things, right? And then Reese's Pieces at the end. Now all of a sudden, even though that reward is desirable to go pee on the potty, it's not desirable for poop. So sometimes we have to up the ante. So when we talked about it just before, I said, okay, if they accidentally go, you can double up the reinforcer. That's a great opportunity because now they're going to pair oh, wait a minute, there was something else in here and I got more for it. But if that doesn't happen, which a lot of us don't get that lucky for that to happen, then what we want to think is what could I really create here? Upping the ante of a reinforcer that would make it worth it for them to at least attempt to try and go poop. And I've had parents, I had moms buy Hot Wheels tracks. I've had moms blow up water balloons would be great. But she blew up a pool in the backyard, and every time he went poop, he got to go swim in the pool once, for 30 minutes, and then he was done. I've had moms do where they would have 5 minutes pee. If they go pee on the potty, they get 5 minutes of iPad time. If they go poop, they get 30 minutes. You can really get super creative with this. And it's I always stress this isn't forever, this is just for now. So basically what you want to do is just compartmentalize the space of time that you're in. And because I had a mom come to me and say, I'm getting all these Hot Wheels and this is expensive. And I said, what's expensive? Diapers for years. That's expensive. I said, this isn't forever, this is just for a moment in time. So she would end up actually buying these bigger gifts and saying to him, listen, if you go pee or poop on the potty, you're going to get this thing. And now you're really making it so desirable, so irresistible that why wouldn't they at least try? So you really have got to like play with this. This is really like, it's really no different than pee training in the sense of like, we're just going to now look at poop. Pee gets its own reinforcer. Now poop's going to get something completely different, something even more valuable. And this is only needed if it's not clicking pee and poop together. And then it's only temporary. I don't want anybody to get freaked out here because I had a mom who bought like a ride-on car, and her daughter had really bad constipation. She was so impacted before she came to me. The last time they tried to potty train, she was so impacted that they had to give her an enema. It was over a week that she hadn't gone poop. So I said, this time around, let's do some things differently. And I'm actually going to share this because I think this is great. Instead of just hopping right into like getting rid of her pull-ups, because this is one of those moms too, where she just put on the pull-up and then hand it to her mom full of shit when she was done. No more pull-ups. But let's be very thoughtful about this. Let's give her foods that make it hard to hold. So let's give her some juice, some apple juice, some prune juice. Let's bulk up a little bit of fiber. Let's talk about some magnesium. We really kind of like really making it difficult for her not to be able to hold it. Now, if we just keep them on their regular diet, which is what she had done the first time, she struggled very, very difficult with this. But right, we're trying to create the environment that's different. That makes this a very welcoming experience if that were to happen. And then she ended up giving her a ride-on toy that she was waiting to give her for something else. And that was a big reinforcer, and her daughter went. It was like, great. But like, Michelle, you can't give them ride-on toys every time they go poop. Yes, I get that. The ride-on toys are a couple $100. I get it. The next time she went poop, she held for about 6 days, and we kept, but like it was getting very hard for her to hold it because at this time we were applying her with foods and drinks that were like conducive of like go hand in hand with poop. And I think what ended up happening for her was that we just created something of real value. I think it was like a present that was wrapped. And we said, listen, you go poop on the potty and you're going to get access to this thing. And it was just too much to handle. She finally goes. It was a big deal. And then boom, after that second time, she got it. So this is kind of like how it looks. And it could look different than this. And it could look even different than that. The idea here is that we don't quit. We look at the data. We look at data neutrally. We look at like how many times they're going pee on the potty. How many times are they going poop? Okay, what can we do to entice this, to repeat this behavior, to get a lot of opportunities to do this? What would be worth it? Stella, my mindset coach in my group coaching program, she was potty training her child. And by the way, this works for neurotypical children as well as children on the spectrum. Works for all children. Working for cats too. So anyway, works for everybody, everything. Okay. So basically what ended up happening with Stella's son is that she got pee on lock. He was struggling with poop. It was right after Christmas. They were potty training him. She took all the gifts he hadn't opened yet for Christmas, rewrapped them and said, listen, dude. And she put him up on the shelf in the bathroom and said, you go to the potty. You're going to get this. And he was like, wow, that's so great. And he, it was like this big deal. And they were already his toys, but he didn't care. The idea here is that we're creating this excitement. We're creating this Disney World experience. This isn't going to be something like, oh, this sucks. This is awful, blah, 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 blah. We are trying to make this so that this is a neutral, if not positive experience for you and your baby. Okay? So basically, the other part of poop training that I do want to talk about, and I get a lot of questions about, is called fecal smearing. So fecal smearing, if you don't know what it is when the child takes the poop in their hands and they play with it, they smear it on themselves, they may eat it, they may put it on the wall. It's one of these it's one of these life-altering experiences where you're like, oh my fucking God, how could this be possible? Like, how could anybody do something like this? That's the thoughts that come to your head. With fecal smearing, I get it. We'll send 99% of parents into fight or flight because that's just like, what the? My husband's like a germaphobe, and if he ever saw one of our kids like slapping poop on their face or up against a wall or putting it in their mouth, I think he'd just set himself on fire and jump out the door. I really do. I don't even think he can handle it. I get it. Like, you're looking at probably the most dirty, most, I guess, like unsanitary thing that your body produces, and your kids are playing with it. And it's going to cause knee-jerk thoughts and emotions. I get that. And we do see this a lot for children on the spectrum. And there's a couple of reasons for it. So I kind of that's why I was like, let me separate poop out into its own conversation, because I want to kind of go through this. First, I want to normalize this experience. And you're like, Michelle, you're fucking nuts. How do you normalize fecal smearing? Because at the end of the day, it's just a circumstance. And if you went to the first episode, this is a 3-part training on potty training. It's our thoughts that create the chaos. And, fecal smearing happened, right? It happened. You can't unring the bell. It's there. I can think all the things about it, crawl into my cave and close the rock door, or I could look at it and say, listen, obviously this isn't desired. What can I do to help this not happen? So, and the first thing you can do before you want to prevent is you got to try and understand what is the function of the behavior of doing it. So there could be many reasons. I'm kind of reading some notes here of why a child could fecal smear. Number one is to get your attention. So if, they want you to play with them, they want to, even negative attention is good attention. Sometimes if they know that they're going to get this crazy reaction from you because they did it in the past and they've seen it, they may want to replicate it. So that's something to look out for. Another thing is children like to play with the poop because it is a sensory experience. Because what does it feel like? Like most poop kind of feels like Play-Doh or kinetic sand or slime, right? So it might be just a sensory experience. They don't understand that it's not something that you should ever touch or ever want to touch. All they know is that it feels like something that they might like the feel of. They may be doing it to delay a preferred activity. I've seen this tons where, like, if a child's ready to go to bed and he doesn't want to go to bed and it's time for bed, they could take a shit in their pants and then just pull it out and start messing with it because then it delays bedtime. The idea here, it could also be, and we also want to make sure if this is happening repetitively and we can't really figure out a behavior that may be causing it, infections, abdominal pain, or discomfort could also be causing this behavior. So you want to get that checked by a doctor if you feel it's one of those. The idea here with fecal smearing in general is the solve is to figure out what your child's reason is for doing it. And then we can work on how to, I got a dry throat, how to avoid it from happening in the future. So for example, if they're doing it for attention, and I know this is hard, we don't give them the attention. Even negative attention is attention. So how do you do this? So, right, you just come into the room, you're 99 that they did it just to get your attention, because normally you flip the fuck out, but now you listen to this podcast, just like, all right, I'm not going to flip out anymore. I feel like they're doing it for attention-seeking behavior. So here, and you can tell, because they'll be playing with it, and they'll just be looking at you. And then if you're not even paying attention, they'll kind of find you so that you can see it on them and then run back in the room laughing or just run back into the room. When you see that kind of behavior, what you do is of course, we're going to clean the child up, but there's no communication and there's no eye contact. They get no enjoyment out of this interaction. So basically, you're going to come in, wash them off. You can't see me, but I'm just basically not even looking away, washing off, cleaning it. Nothing. They get nothing for this. And then you just go back to your business. And I know seems like crazy. You have to practice doing this, especially if you have an attention seeker, because they will continue to do this if they think they're going to be able to get a rise from you. So this is the number one way to avoid an attention-seeking fecal smearer from doing this. Another reason they could be doing this, and I forgot to say that, was that this is, by the way, fecal smearing is one of the biggest, I'm putting my hands up here, biggest red flags or biggest green flags that potty training's a go. A lot of the times kids also fecal smear because they just don't want it in their diaper. So they just pick it up and they just flick it out of their pants because they don't like the way it feels to walk around with a lump of coal in their butt. They just pick it out of their pants. That is the telltale sign of let's potty train. Okay, so another reason that we talked about they may be able to do is they like the way it feels. They like it. It's like Play-Doh. They like kind of pulling it apart and pushing it back together, making shapes out of it. So what we want to do in those instances is make it accessible to them to have Play-Doh, putty, slime, kinetic sand, and any of their play areas. So that way, that's the preferred. That's what we want them playing with, and they don't want to really play with the smelly, stinky stuff. Okay? So these are just some examples of the reason why children will fecal smear. And it's, I know it's so crazy to think like be neutral about this, but really be neutral about it because your child is telling you something with their behavior and you can respond respond with the correct type of reinforcers to stop that behavior. Just like we can create repeating behaviors we want with reinforcement, we can also stop behaviors we don't want by not reinforcing them with attention, not reinforcing them with any desire that they get out of it, other than like trying to redirect them to something that we do want them to do. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so other than that, I think that's it. The only other thing, questions I get about it is like, all right, great, I don't get this either. Like, it totally blows my mind. You were in diapers for 7 years, and then finally we get the kid peeing and pooping on the potty, and you're like, yeah, but he just doesn't ask for it. Like, I feel like we just shit all over the progress we made when you guys could, yeah, but he doesn't ask for it. I really, if I don't take him, he's going to have an accident. And I'm like, listen, neurotypical, spectrum, Down syndrome, anybody. The first step is to teach them pee and poop go here. And that's the hardest one. Once you get that, it's like, score, I'm dancing, I'm happy. The next step to this process is to tell them when to go. I have a fully potty trained 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I still tell them, hey, make sure you go potty before you go to bed. Hey, make sure you go potty before you go to school. Cody can hold his pee, 7 years old. If I don't remember to ask him if he went pee in the morning, he will go to school, spend the whole day in school, come home, and after school take his first pee of the day. They have bladders like elephants. It's insane. So it is normal. This part of the process is normal. First, they know pee and poop go here. Then they want you to tell them. Then you have to tell them when to go. And once we've got this kind of on lock, we can start to work on like getting them to either initiate going themselves or asking for the potty. So while you're potty training, what I like to do, if it isn't too stressful for you, you're going to pick a bridge form of communication to express what it means to say we're going to the potty. So with Juliana, we were teaching her sign language. So I had a closed fist I'd hang in the air and I'd shake it and say, time to go potty. And we would do that the whole entire time. So that way, if we were out and about and she didn't know where the bathroom was and she couldn't go without me, she would have to, let me know in that way that she had to go. So you want to start while you're potty training, if it's not too stressful for you, to pair a sign, a picture of the potty, and let them know like, hey, this is how you're going to tell me you're going to go potty. What you're going to do. And then another great thing that's out there right now is a potty watch. I love it. So basically the child wears the watch and it lets them know when they should go potty. What you're going to do, once you've got pee and poop goes here, I'm telling you when to go, and we're getting 80 to 100% success days when I'm telling you when to go. Now what you want to do is look at the data of what you're saying and say, okay, if I take them every hour, they don't have an accident. Okay? Let's move that out to like an hour 10, an hour 15. And let's see how we do. And remind the child the reinforcements are still in play. They're still getting reinforcements. If the reinforcements lost its steam at this point, you're going to replace it with something else of value and say, hey, we're going to go a little further out each time. And basically one of two things is going to happen. One, either going to have an accident, and then we're going to know we're going to have to close the window in a little bit. And we're going to be looking for their tells. It's another thing with the data collection with all the potty training is you start to really know your kid better than you already thought you knew them. You thought you knew them really well. Now you're really going to know them. So basically what you're going to do now is you're going to spread out that window and then see what happens. And one of two things is going to happen. They're going to have an accident or they're going to feel nature call and they're going to run themselves to the bathroom. Throughout all this process, you can tell them the sign for potty, you can show them the picture for potty, you can use a potty watch, but this is just how it works. And then gradually over time, you start widening those windows of when they go, collecting your data. You always want to be around 80% or better with potty success, and then you could start widening the times that you take them. But this is it. This is everything in a nutshell. So I hope this was helpful. I'm trying to keep my podcast episodes under 30 minutes because I know I'm always busy, and 30 minutes is probably as far as I can go mentally, time-wise, to listen to something. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. See y'all next time. Bye, everybody.